Greetings from North High School. My name is Andy Dowland, and it's my pleasure to be creating this podcast. This is one of 4 podcasts that our principals will be creating and sharing with our staff. What is the purpose of these podcasts? Well, the purpose of the podcast is to free up some of your time during the back-to-school faculty meeting times so that you can get better prepared for the beginning of the school year. The second purpose of the podcast is to give you the flexibility to listen and to reflect at a time when it's convenient to you. The objective for the podcast is to share information for the 2014 theme, the observational emphasis that includes feedback from principals, a few reminders, and a review of a couple of policies. Let's begin. In 2013, last year, we adopted a phrase that every student needs a champion. We adopted this theme after we watched a YouTube video by Rita Pearson. If our new teachers haven't seen that, that is worth your time. Rita is a teacher who attempts to make a difference with her students every day. We have the responsibilities to encourage, to prompt, to motivate. I think that is what resonated with us. We developed a Google form and added names of students who would benefit from having a champion. Faculty identified interests of students and connected with our students. Great job. I'm really proud of our staff. But I believe we still need to do more. On the screen is a 5-year history of North High dropouts. You'll notice that the different colors are for the different years, and across the bottom are for the different years that students drop out, from freshman, sophomore, and juniors and senior years. Lots of kids. The first observation that I make is that the sophomore year is the most difficult year. It's the one we lose most of our students, or many of our students, and probably due to the fact that the minimum age for dropout is 16 years old. But let's take a look at the class of 2014. So the class of 2014 were seniors last year. And the red numbers represent that class of 2014 when they were seniors, then when they were juniors, then when they were sophomores and freshmen. So look at that, 3, 5, 12, and 4, the numbers in red. There's 24 students out of the class of 2014 who dropped out. We still have a couple of students who haven't completed some summer work. It's a potential of going up to 2 more, or 26. So 24 to 26 of those kids dropped out for the class of 2014. That's because we had only 240 to 250 kids. That's more than 10%. 10 to 11% of our kids dropped out. If we can save maybe 2, 3, or 4, or 5 more kids, I think we can make a difference. And we need to. That number is way too high for me. And I think every student needs a champion. We need to do more. I think we need to make more connections because we know all these other factors that influence student achievement. But again, I think we can do more. And I think the theme, every student needs a champion, is such a great theme because of the fact that it resonates with all of us because we feel like we can influence and make a difference. So good luck with our Every Student Needs a Champion theme for 2014-15. 2014 observational emphasis. I created a pie chart and I'm listing 6 different things that I think we need to emphasize. The learning objective. We've done a good job. It's posted so all students can see it. So that's up there on the board. It's a clear statement of knowledge or information as opposed to the activity or assignment. So we're more interested in that statement of knowledge that you want them to know. I want teachers to make references to those learning goals throughout the lesson. Some of us have gotten good at that. Some of us are still in that growth stage. But to get to that distinguished category, if I come into a classroom and ask a student to explain the learning objective, could he either describe it in his own words, I hope so, or how those activities could relate to the learning goal? Or when you even ask the students, can they explain the meaning of the levels of performance? Can they list that, you know what, if I do it this well, I'll get an A. If I do it partially, I'll do a B, etc. I think the learning objective is good for us, but I think we can get slightly better with regards to that. The next category is a continuation of prime time 1 and 2. Prime time 1, of course, is the first 10 minutes of the class period. I don't think we have much of a problem there, but I think we continue to talk about it, but our classes are starting on time. We've got meaningful activities at the beginning of the class period. Where I think we can grow, though, is in prime time 2, the last 10 minutes. Again, if you attach that learning objective to wrapping up your lesson, reflecting it and talking about it throughout the lesson, and then at the very end, of course, bringing it back together. Sometimes they've already accomplished it, so the learning objective has been accomplished. So then it's a chance to review and promote the next day's learning objectives. So let's keep going with regards to prime time 2. Formative assessment. Again, some nice growth over the last couple of years. And of course, I've seen the observation of traditional measures of success there. But again, the key in formative assessments is how do you make adjustments? In some of our curricular areas, it's fairly easy. Other areas, it's more difficult, has to be a little bit more formal. But again, the formative assessments really talks about how the adjustments in our teaching is what we're going to be doing differently. The next category in purple there is the reading and writing goal. It's actually kind of dovetails nicely with our SIP goal. Again, the emphasis is on reading activities within that class period and also writing activities. I think we all believe that if we read more and if we write more frequently, we're going to have better comprehension. And so some curricular areas, it's easier than others, but again, the emphasis is there, and I hope that we can do a better job with regards to that. Hallway rapport is again something that we've emphasized the last couple of years. It helps define our culture and our climate within our building. I can see other people, I can see some of our teachers in the hallways today. I think of Greg Unruh, or I think of Eric Arness, or I think of Rod Capistran, almost out there in the hallways every day. And again, some of us have found that time and have adjusted how we've done things. But again, it's not only being present, but it's also talking and visiting with kids and addressing any issues that might be there. The last part really is something new. And again, it's the PLC involvement. And so what does that mean? Well, the third question of the PLC model is, what do we do when students don't learn? And so we want to have our discussions more focused on that. We've done a great job of defining parallel learning targets in most of our curricular areas. We've done a good job of creating some common assessments, and even now to that point of reflecting on those assessments. But it's that third question about what do we do when students haven't learned it. It dovetails nicely with formative assessments. So again, what adjustments? And I think our PLC conversations have to be involving that part of it. What are we doing when students haven't learned it? So those are the 6 different things that we're going to emphasize this year when we're coming into our classrooms. Thought it's important for you to see that in a visual. Some reminders. First of all, the first day of school will not be a late start, even though it is a Wednesday. We're going to start at 8:05. I would also encourage you to create as much excitement for your course as possible. Show your passion, show your excitement, and create engaging activities for the first day. The second suggestion is to spend an extra day or 2 before that first assessment so that students get off to a great start. I'm hoping that your students will do well and begin with an optimistic attitude to begin the year. So overteach, I think it'll be successful. The third category is a complimentary PTSA membership. Each year I put a form in your mailbox during the first part of the year. I know that it's a busy time of the year, but take the time to support our PTA and recognize the efforts of our parents. It would be very much appreciated. My fourth bullet, went too fast. My fourth bullet is the United Way. Even though the United Way campaign is not until October, I'd like to put in a plug for United Way. Just last week, United Way distributed over 5,000 backpacks to children in Cass and Clay counties. They have developed goals that support education by adopting the Imagination Library and the Food Backpack Program, along with a regular backpack program. We really benefit from a strong presence of United Way in our community. I hope that you'll be able to find it in your heart and in your budget to support United Way. Last year, we raised over $18,000 from employee contributions and group contributions. It's another way that we can be champions for our students. I'm also hoping that we can increase the staff who donate through the payroll deduction form. It's easy, and there'll be more information to follow. And finally, in the reminders, just make sure you find your staff IDs. It's an expectation and requirement that all staff wear their IDs. Do you need to change your benefits? I don't know if you noticed, but on the employee portal, there was a chance to change your benefits here during the month of August. At the end of August, that opportunity closed. So if you need to change your health insurance, life insurance, dental, vision insurance packages, now is the opportunity to do that. There's a link on the employee portal. Just a review of a couple of policies. We have developed a profanity policy, and again, our emphasis is on appropriate language. We have two different categories there. Really, if you're directing students directing it at a staff member or in argument or challenging things with another student, it's out of school suspended. So we need you to be a part of that process. Make sure that if there's issues like that, that you forward them on to the assistant principals and they'll deal with it. And then also be addressing the issues in the hallways with what we consider slippage. The next category is the idea of the no hats. Probably could have included hoods, pop, or food policy in the classroom. Again, we tried to do our part in keeping this place clean, so again, those things aren't permitted. We're also adjusting our cell phone policy. We are allowing students cell phone policy between periods and also in the commons. We strictly prohibit the use of cell phones in the classroom unless there's an educational reason. We'll share more information at the back to school faculty meeting. Finally, the last policy is the alcohol drug referral policy. On this next screen, I said, what should teachers do when a student is suspected of being under the influence of alcohol or drugs? And I created this flow chart, and I think it pretty well describes what should happen. But again, it's just a reminder that when you suspect somebody to being under the influence of alcohol or marijuana during the school day, you need to immediately call the main office. And then what will happen is a secretary will get a hold of an assistant principal or principal, and this principal will go to the classroom and accompany the student to the main office. There we'll do our investigation, and there'll be two options really. What's over there in yellow? If the student is not under the influence, and that's what we've determined after doing a search, student will return to class and we'll inform the parent and the teacher. On the other side of the coin is if the student is under the influence or in possession, we of course refer it to the school resource officer, and the parents are called and the student is released to the parent, and there's a suspension that happens after that. And then we again inform teachers, the counselors, and the drug alcohol counselor. Again, I think this is a good thing to remind ourselves of. Again, we have issues with kids being under the influence, and we need to be more aware of that here as we go forward. And I'd just like to welcome you back, and I'm expecting and anticipating of a great year. Again, teacher reporting date is Friday, August 22nd, so it's just about a week away. And then all Fargo Public Schools employees, that's also the certified and non-certified staff, are to be at the Shields opener on Monday, August 25th. The non-certified staff are also paid for that time. So again, we hope that you can find it in your budget or time there to be there. And then also the support staff reporting date then is the first day of school. Again, have a great year. Thanks for listening.